Okay, here we go. We're going to start with a little bit of warm up. We did some of this transcript a couple weeks ago. We came up with a 1538.5. We talked about what that was. So now we didn't do the entire transcript, so we're going to finish that up. So let's please turn to page 28.
Wait,
Where we left off.
wait. Yeah, that's how I write it in.
We have Mr. Maynor for the plaintiff and Mr. Smith for defense. Here. And let's start on line 1. Let me see who's questioning. That is Mr. Smith. I am Mr. Maynor for the plaintiff.
I am the witness.
I am the court.
I'm attorney for defense, Mr. Smith.
Lots of exchange in this.
So what's
15th.
Okay, and it's Mr. Smith questioning for the record. Why do you term it paraphernalia?
It's objects of the crime,
What crime?
of the ingestion of the materials that were found.
I believe you said you stopped 3 individuals.
That's correct.
Who was the 3rd individual?
I don't believe I have that in my report.
Would it help you to look at your report?
Sure.
Why don't you tell him where to look?
I think I'll object on the grounds of relevance. It doesn't really matter what the name is.
If you know where to look, he said he doesn't know where it is in his report. You either tell him where to look or I'm going to sustain the objection. Oh, I was court last time, sorry. Okay. Do you have a 2 of the 3-page report?
Yes, I do.
What about the 5th paragraph from the bottom? Your review.
Is that in the written narrative or in the boxed area?
I believe there's a paragraph that's the 5th from the bottom that starts with the words both subjects.
That would be in the written area.
I'm not sure what you mean by written area.
As in typed out narrative.
Yes.
And the 5th paragraph.
Yes, from the bottom.
Rhea Lubin was then placed in handcuffs and placed in Officer Bauman's patrol vehicle.
The paragraph below that?
Below that?
Yes.
Both subjects, Newton and Rhea Lubin, requested that Robert Laughlin, a white male adult with a date of birth who was riding with them, take control of their bikes instead of having them placed in the Modesto police impound.
Does that refresh your recollection as to who the 3rd individual was?
I recall what he looks like, but the name doesn't sound familiar.
Okay, did you record that name at the time or shortly after the incident?
Objection, irrelevant.
Are you leading up to having him read in it?
Well, I don't believe he can recall the name, so I'm trying to lay the foundation for him to
For what?
read it as a past recorded statement.
Your Honor.
Go ahead.
We still object. It's irrelevant as to the names of the potential co-defendants in this case.
Yeah, tell me why it's relevant. Give me an offer of proof.
Well, I believe Mr. Laughlin is going to say this stuff's his. Is he here? Is that him?
What did you say?
I believe Mr. Laughlin is going to admit that the stuff that was found in the duffel bag was his.
He's here today
Yes,
and he's going to testify?
that's my understanding.
Go ahead.
Was that when you recorded or you completed your report, were the events fresh in your mind?
I recorded them at that time that I stopped him.
Was your report accurate when you completed it?
As far as I know, yes.
Would you read the 5th paragraph from the bottom then, please?
5th from the bottom or the top?
The bottom, or 6th from the top, if you want to count that way.
Of page 2?
Yes, please.
Both subjects, Newton and Rhea Lubin, requested that Robert Laughlin, a white male adult, date of birth 6/12/46, who was riding with them, take control of their bikes instead of having them placed in the Modesto police impound.
Okay. Now that was a 3rd individual that was there, this Robert Laughlin.
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
I have no further questions.
Anything else?
No.
No?
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm having a little trouble with this. I have a 1538.5 and all I have here. Am I going to get more on the 1538.5 issue, Mr. Maynor?
Well,
Here's what I've got that you've told me so far. I have that a dispatch comes over and says something about an auto burglary being interrupted. They give you a very vague description about some person in shorts. Apparently, they don't even tell you if that's a man or a woman. Is that safe to say?
As best I recall.
And they don't tell you how many people are involved?
I believe it was multiple, but I don't recall if it was 2 or 3.
You thought that the shorts might have been red.
I believe that they were.
No description of the top other than it's,
There was a description, but I don't recall what it is.
and somehow you stopped these 3 people on bikes. There's also no description of a bike being involved.
That's correct.
Maybe I missed something here. Why these 3?
Well, for one, they had 2 violations, which I observed, the no light and failing to stop for a stop sign. And I wasn't sure if they were involved or not, and I could eliminate them by stopping them.
They're on bicycles?
That's correct.
And how far away is the stop where they're stopped from the place where this alleged auto burglary occurred?
On an estimation only, I would say maybe a half mile or less,
So the reason you stopped them was that they ran the stop sign
and for no light on the bikes.
and no lights. Then you go right into asking Miss Sequest if she's searchable. Is that,
It's a general question that myself and other officers ask if they are on probation or parole and if they are searchable.
and was that the first question after their names?
Believe so, after their names, right.
Did you ask each of the 3?
Yes, I did.
And she tells you at that point that she is on probation and is searchable?
That's correct.
Did she say for what?
I don't recall specifically. I can only make an assumption.
I don't want you to make an assumption. Okay, that's basically the gist of the 1538.5.
That's the evidence we have.
Okay, now you may step down. Okay.
I have one other witness with regards to usable amount only.
Before we get to that, let's talk about the 1538.
My position on the 1538, Your Honor, is this. He testified on direct that he didn't stop them. They stopped voluntarily, but he would have stopped them. And then when you were questioning him, he stopped them, but
Okay, let's
assume that they stopped voluntarily and he detained them. Either way, it doesn't matter. He had probable cause to detain them once they stopped voluntarily, or if he stopped them, that being a violation of these 2 bicycle laws, no light and running the stop sign. He asked the defendant a question, as is his right, which was her name. He asked her another question, as is his right. Are you on probation? Are you searchable? She says she is. At that point, he has a right to search her because he knows that people who are on probation and searchable can be searched without probable cause and without any reason or anything else by a peace officer when they're asked. And those are the terms of probation. And so at that point, he searched her and we have our dope.
Okay, Mr. Smith.
I'll submit it, Your Honor.
The court,
I haven't seen that before, I guess, where an officer just walks up and says, "Are you on probation? Are you searchable?" It isn't usually done.
they can walk up and they can ask if they have an ID. There's even cases where you can arrest them if there's no ID, and then they're searched incident to arrest.
I'd ask that he'd cite cases if he's going to refer to them.
They're out there. Mr. Smith knows them.
I'd ask for a name.
There are a lot of more invasive ways that an officer can search them. Her right to be free from searches in this case was very minimal. It was not an intrusive way that he stopped her. He didn't even detain her for a very long time. He searched very quickly after she gave the information. Yes, I'm searchable. At that point, he had good cause to search her. I'll indicate for the record that she is on probation and is searchable, but even if he was wrong, he had a good faith belief under Leon to search her at that point. If she said, no, I'm not, and he searched her anyway, perhaps we'd have a different case and we'd have a problem. But if she says, officer, I'm searchable, there's no problem.
Leon is a case involving a warrant.
I think the philosophy holds true.
Yeah, they call it a Leon philosophy, Leon reasoning. That's not the issue. I guess I can't really find anything wrong with asking, are you searchable? I haven't heard any case law that says that's improper for an officer to ask that. Do you have any case law, Mr. Smith, that says that he shouldn't be asking that?
Well, he can ask questions.
Yeah, so I guess I don't see anything wrong with it at this point.
Well, one other thing, Judge, that
I believe that there has to be some showing that she was searchable,
before he searches, no, I think
unless he's relying on consent.
if she says, yeah, I'm searchable, I guess he can search at that point. I can't.
One other point in the record, Judge. In the rush of things, I think all 3 of us have overlooked a key point of testimony, and that is that the defendant gave her permission to search the duffel. So let's not forget that one. That has some value too.
I'm going to deny the 1538.5 at this time. Now, did you have another witness as to some other?
Yes. State your name for the record and spell your last name for the court reporter.
Douglas Unruh, UNRUH.
Would you tell us a little bit about your background, training, and experience in determining whether or not methamphetamine is a usable amount?
I've been a sheriff's deputy for over 22 years. I've been a narcotics officer I have over 4.5 years as a narcotics officer. I've attended numerous courses involving narcotics transactions, labs, etc.
Have you qualified as an expert regarding usable amount of methamphetamine in the past?
Yes, I have.
Do you have an opinion as to whether or not 0.21 grams of a substance containing methamphetamine is a usable amount?
Yes, I do.
And what is your opinion?
That is, in fact, a usable amount.
Thank you. No further questions.
Cross-examination.
No cross-examination.
You may step down.
Thank you.
People rest.
Would the defense care to present evidence?
Yes, I'll call Robert Laughlin.
Your Honor, before we have him testify, I have an objection pursuant to Penal Code Section 1054 with regards to reciprocal discovery. We've not received any information from the defendant until a mid-hearing that they have a defense witness that they plan to call. And as I understand it from Mr. Smith's statement, he's going to take responsibility for the possession of this controlled substance. We sent out a reciprocal discovery request in this case.
Your Honor, that refers to trial. This is not a trial. This is a preliminary hearing.
That may be, but on June 22nd, Your Honor, we've requested from the defense reciprocal discovery. We upheld our end of the bargain. We gave them our discovery, and there has been multiple court appearances in this case, 4 or 5 at least. And we've never heard anything from anybody that they've got this witness, and now they spring him on us at the prelim. And I believe the court has several options available to it on how to handle this type of situation.
Your Honor, that whole section talks about discovery before trial. It gives him time limits. It mentions something about 30 days before trial. This is not a trial. I've never heard anyone claim that it
Do you think that's intended?
applies to the discovery procedure before a preliminary examination.
But shouldn't it?
No.
I mean, if you're talking about reciprocal discovery, why wouldn't it include a prelim as well as a trial? I know it says trial. I read that in it. But my goodness, wouldn't it be intended to include prelims? Especially if you have a witness who's going to get up and say, I did this crime. This person is completely exonerated. Obviously, that's something you should be.
This is a probable cause hearing. This is not a proceeding for a final determination of guilt or innocence.
We may get a final result.
Are you telling me it doesn't have much effect, the witness I'm about to hear? You are presenting this witness presumably, so I will not hold your client to answer, correct? There can be no other reason to present this witness.
It's an attempt to put on a witness at the preliminary hearing, Your Honor. I believe the defendant has a right to do that.
Well, why didn't you supply this name?
I know of only requirement that it be done, Your Honor. I do believe that the prosecution can ask for an offer of proof, and I'll give an offer of proof that this individual will testify that the material located in the duffel bag was his.
I don't like this. I'll allow it today, but as a general rule, if you're going to bring witnesses who exonerate for future reference, and I will remember, even if you don't, for future reference, I will expect those witnesses to be disclosed.
Well, Your Honor,
Present your witness.
if you would refer me to some law, I would certainly.
That section, I think that section applies when you're going to be bringing a witness at a preliminary hearing whom you think you want to exonerate the defendant. For future reference, you disclose that, or I may consider the sanctions that are allowed. Okay, call your witness.
I have been warned, Your Honor, and I will proceed accordingly.
One other preliminary matter, Your Honor. Apparently, Mr. Laughlin is about to make some admissions.
Yeah,
That is going to result in some pretty serious criminal liability.
sure might.
And we ought to take care of some things.
Yeah,
Might I first call him
yes, you may call him.
Mr. Laughlin?
Is there an attorney in the building?
At this hour,
We still have another prelim. At this rate, it won't happen today.
Sir, would you state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Robert Laughlin, Laughlin.
Mr. Laughlin, based on the offer of proof that I've just heard from the defense attorney, it appears that you may be incriminating yourself
Yes, ma'am.
in a criminal matter. I can, if you would like, appoint an attorney to talk to you about whether this is a good idea for you to take the witness stand. Would you like for me to do that?
Not at this moment. I just want to let you know what happened.
You could be subjecting yourself to criminal prosecution. Do you understand that?
Yes.
I think that's a real possibility in this case.
may I approach, Your Honor,
Yeah.
with Mr. Smith?
Yeah, Mr. Smith, come on. Mr. Laughlin, even without your request, I'm going to appoint an attorney based upon what counsel's telling me at the sidebar. Can we find a conflicts attorney or someone in the building? I'll take pretty much anybody who does criminal work. We might have to call conflict 2 because I don't know who represented the co-defendant in the case.
Oh, conflict 1.
Then conflicts 2 might be the people to call. Call conflicts 2.
Does the court stand in recess while we're doing these matters?
Yeah, I think we'll be in recess for a minute.
Okay. Done with that.
This conference one, too.
This is week 7.
Yes, it is.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yes, it is.
She's my answer.
Okay, we're gonna do some warm up from this one, and then it will be a take. I'm gonna put the warm up on the practice, defense copy, court copy, witness copy. Okay, looks like we can go up to page 7 for warm up. Let's read it in 14s, okay? I am plaintiff counsel, Ms. Williams.
I'm the witness.
I am the court.
I am attorney for defense, Mr. McCann.
And the court begins 5 minutes of warm up at 2:10.
For the record, calling case number 41568. Mrs. Williams, are you ready?
Yes, Your Honor, I am ready.
Mr. McCann, are you ready for the defense?
Yes, Your Honor, I am ready. May I move to exclude witnesses?
Any witnesses other than the testifying witnesses are ordered excluded from the courtroom until called. You are not to discuss your testimony with any other person in this case until the matter is finally submitted. Call your first witness.
Yes, Your Honor, call Dr. Wayne Miller.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Be seated, state your name, and spell your last name, please.
Dr. Wayne P. Miller, M-I-L-L-E-R.
Dr. Miller, are you the plaintiff in this action?
Yes,
What is your age?
53,
When will you be for 54?
November 5th.
What has been your occupation during your adult life?
Surgeon,
What is your present address?
1400 Country Club Drive, Palm Desert,
Doctor, when did you move to Palm Desert?
1983.
Do you recall approximately what time of year that was?
Summertime, July, I believe.
Have you been engaged in the practice of urology since that time?
Yes.
Where and for how long?
From the time that I finished my internship in Chicago. I spent 3 years at the University of Chicago, a year in California in training, and then in 1970 I started my practice in Los Angeles and continued it in Palm Desert in 78.
Are you married?
Yes,
What is your wife's name?
Margaret.
Are there children of this marriage?
No.
Do you have children from a previous marriage?
Yes,
How many?
4.
What sexes are they?
3 girls and a boy.
Prior to the year 1984, did you take your children on ski trips from time to time?
Yes,
Did your wife go along?
yes,
Did you take such a trip in December of 1984?
yes.
Where did you go?
Angel Mountain.
What members of your family were with you at that time?
My 3 youngest children, my wife, my wife's brother.
You say your 3 youngest. Was that 2 girls and a boy?
2 girls and a boy.
And for how long a period did you stay there at Angel Mountain in 1984?
2 weeks.
Had you been there before?
Yes,
When?
1981.
For how long did you stay then?
2 weeks.
What arrangements did you have, if any, for accommodations in 1984?
Objection, Your Honor, irrelevant.
Sustain.
Were you housed there in Angel Mountain?
Yes.
And were you involved in any type of accident during that ski trip?
Is that the one of 84?
Yes, 1984.
Yes.
When did it occur?
Christmas Day
Do you recall where?
at the Angel Mountain ski lift,
Do you recall which particular lift?
the T-bar.
Now, they have several lifts, I take it. Is that right?
Yes.
Had you been a passenger on this particular T-bar before?
Yes.
And when had you ridden it before?
The preceding days that I was up there.
Is this type of lift used at other ski resorts to your knowledge?
Yes.
I'd like to hand you 4 photographs after counsel has a chance to examine them. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
I hand you these 4 photographs and ask you if you can identify those photographs.
Your Honor, if counsel will represent they are taken at Angel Mountain, I will stipulate they were.
All right, that will take care of the foundation.
So represented. Now, in examining these pictures, Dr. Miller, do you recognize that they show the part of the lift that you were riding called the T-bar?
Yes.
And what part is that? Can you describe?
The red part shaped like a T at the bottom of the apparatus.
That is the lower part then hanging from the cable, is that correct?
Yes.
And then above that, do you know what the other portion of this is called?
That is called a spring box.
And then above that, what is in these pictures?
Above the spring box is a metal bar that attaches the whole thing to the cable that goes up and down the mountain.
You want to put them in evidence?
Yes, we would like to offer them, Your Honor. I was going to offer them in a minute, but we can offer them right now.
All right, 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the plaintiff.
Was someone else riding this lift at the time of this accident that you have told us about?
Yes,
To the best of your recollection, doctor, can you tell us what happened in this accident?
Objection, Your Honor, irrelevant.
Yes, the only point that would be relevant would be what hit him.
That is what I want you to say, doctor. I didn't mean to explain how the mechanical failure was brought about, but just tell us, if you will, what position you were in as best you can relate and what actually happened to your body.
the position I was in was that of being on my skis facing uphill. My forward motion stopped and I was rigid. My right arm was extended out rigidly with my ski pole firmly on the ground to maintain my rigidity, and the portion of the mechanism that I label as the spring box apparently hit my arm and tumbled me to the ground, crushed me in the ground.
Your Honor, I will move everything after apparently be stricken as incompetent.
Well, all right, something hit you. Is that it?
Something hit me.
You didn't see it before you got hit?
No, sir.
You fell to the ground?
Yes,
What part of your body was struck?
my right shoulder.
Okay, I guess that covers it.
Okay, we're stopping there. That's the end of warm up. And that was all to 10. So I'm going to end the practice file for today and then restart right away.